Welcome to the K20 Center's Zoom Into Your Career video series. These online career expos give students a way to explore many interesting careers and learn about their career options from volunteer professionals. Tiffany Winbush is an experienced social media professional, digital marketer, and public relations expert who received her master's degree in communications management and technology from New York University.
Good morning, everyone. It is great to be here today. As mentioned, my name is Tiffany Winbush. I'm actually speaking to you from New York City at the moment, but I am a New York City transplant like many people who live here. I'm originally from the great state of Louisiana, as I like to say, and that's where all of my family still resides. But I've been in New York City for about 15 years now. And one of the reasons that I made my way to New York City was really because of the career field that I'm currently in. When I was in college and I was completing my undergraduate work, so right out of high school, I went to Louisiana State University and I majored in communications, mass communications with a focus on public relations. And so when I graduated, I wanted to just move to a larger media market where there was an opportunity for me to really practice and utilize and put my undergraduate degree to use. And I made my way to New York City. And I came here and not really knowing anyone. I think I knew two people at the time that I relocated to New York City. I did not have a job when I moved here. Thankfully, I'd worked a year after graduating college and I saved up a little money. And so like a lot of people who, leave a smaller place and come to a larger place, they essentially go and follow a dream. Thankfully, I was able to pretty quickly get a job working in communications for the nonprofit sector. I worked for a wonderful nonprofit that helped many needy New Yorkers across the city, and I worked there for several years, and then afterwards decided to just move on to another opportunity to really expand my skills. I moved on and started working for a large media company, which was owned by Clear Channel Communication. And you may be familiar with them because they own a lot of like the local radio stations in various cities throughout the country. I worked there for quite a while in the media industry, and it was really exciting because it was around the time that social media and online communication and speaking to people really became popular. In addition to that, I had the opportunity to work at several public relations agencies, and in those roles, I worked with several different clients doing public relations, publicity work, and just getting the word out about them. I worked for a really unique company where our focus was that we worked with companies who were global, but they were coming into the U.S. market for the very first time. So I had a chance to work with companies that were based in Japan, based in Canada. So it was really exciting to have like that international global focus. After I worked in that particular role, I took a little break because I went to graduate school at New York University. And while at NYU, I received a master's degree in communications management and technology. But while the time I was doing that, I also started to do some consulting work. So essentially I decided to, be my own boss and go out and be a consultant or entrepreneur for about 2 years. And I worked with small business owners, entrepreneurs, and I helped them with managing their social media presence and their publicity efforts for any type of events that they were hosting. So I had an opportunity to work with a fashion magazine and all the work that they did around New York Fashion Week. I had an opportunity to work with an entrepreneur who was launching a new product over in Silicon Valley in California. I worked for a company that had a local wine bar here in New York City. So it was really exciting. But after I finished my master's degree, I decided to go back into the workforce within corporate America. And where I find myself now is that I actually head up social media for an insurance company here in New York City. We are a a statewide insurance company. So we only provide health insurance for those who live within New York State. And I have the opportunity of maintaining and managing our presence across various social media platforms. So that's creating content on what's going to appear on our social media accounts, but it's also a lot of community management as well. So as you can imagine, in the day of social media, if people have a complaint, and also when they have like some good news as well, they'll probably go to social media first in order to share their thoughts, share their insights, in order to get feedback immediately from the company. So I do a lot of managing that as well. And I also work across the company, training people on best practices on how to utilize social media so they can essentially be social media ambassadors for the company and really share and promote the news that we are sharing across our social media channels. And then I have an opportunity also to give back as well. I work as an adjunct professor here in New York City at one of the local colleges. I teach undergraduate students in the School of Business and Marketing Communications, and my classes change every semester. This semester I am teaching a class all about sports and events marketing, so it's really exciting because, you know, so many people have thoughts and insights about, you know, the sports world. So it's been a really great semester so far. And that's kind of me in a nutshell and what I've been doing over the last 15 plus years of my professional career in the workforce.
Tiffany, would you mind, for students who might not know or be familiar with the term, could you describe what an entrepreneur is or what they do?
Yeah, so an entrepreneur is, I'm pretty sure you guys are probably familiar with the term side hustle, right? So you are essentially kind of taking something that you are passionate about and you are utilizing it as a side hustle. And it could be, you know, absolutely anything. So for instance, there may be, you know, someone in your school who really enjoys like putting clothes together and sewing. So maybe for them, they decide that they are going to offer their services to be like a stylist for an upcoming dance that you have at your school. And so they'll go around with a person and they'll, you know, go to the various stores in your city and they'll help them pick out like a dress and shoes and accessories, or they may even sew it from scratch. So it's essentially, you know, a business owner. And typically, you know, people call themselves entrepreneurs because they're a little bit different from a small business owner. A small business owner tends to be someone who may have like a brick and mortar store, like a retail location that you can go into and you can make a purchase. But oftentimes in this day of technology, many entrepreneurs are just using technology and online and e-commerce to really build and grow their business.
Again, schools, if you have questions, let us know in the chat feature.
I would love to share just some insight with the students that I tend to share with my undergraduate students in the classroom. So now, one of the things that I tell my students all the time that certainly your education is extremely important, and gaining additional skills is important, but I always tell them that it's really like a two-pronged approach. So while it is essential for a student to focus on their education and gain the skills that they need to be successful in the field that they want to pursue, it is also just as important for you to begin establishing relationships and you know, meeting people and connecting with people who may eventually be in a career path that you're interested in. And so, you know, just as I tell students who may be an undergraduate and they are, you know, maybe, you know, 19, early 20s, it's never too early to begin building your network of people that you know, that you may want to eventually connect with. And, you know, it could be any and everything. I know sometimes for us, you may think, you know, well, you know, I'm only this particular age, I'm only in this grade. What does it mean to build a network? How can I build a network? And it could be easy as looking around, you know, looking within your family, number one, looking around your community, and maybe finding people who are doing, you know, interesting things, whether they work in corporate America as careers, or they may work for a small business, or they themselves have turned their side hustle into an entrepreneurship opportunity or a business. But you can begin to, you know, establish and build relationships with them, because it is so much valuable insight that you can learn. And then from there, while, you know, the ultimate goal isn't to have people give you something in return, you never know when that person in your network may be beneficial. They may be aware of scholarships that you can benefit from, or summer job opportunities, or maybe they'll, write your letter of recommendation for college one day. So there are so many opportunities that you can start to like build these network of supporters that you probably already know, but just maybe haven't approached a relationship in that way.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We have a student who wants to know which company was your favorite to work for?
Oh, goodness. So I work for one company that I did not mention, but it was in that particular role, I worked for, I was a global social media manager, and I worked for a global media company. And I really liked the job because, number one, I got to work with colleagues here in the US, but also my colleagues as well as London and also Hong Kong. And being that it was a global role, I had to travel as well pretty frequently. So I would, I would oftentimes go to London, where I would meet up with my colleagues from both London and Hong Kong. And then, being that London is so central to most locations, I could, tack in like a personal trip onto that. So last November, for instance, I had to go to London for a team meeting. And then after that, I went to Dublin, Ireland for like 3 days, because it was literally like an hour and a half flight from London to Dublin. And so I really enjoyed that opportunity, because not only did I enjoy the role that I had at that company, it involved some travel. So that was exciting.
Yes, definitely. Has a question for you, and wants to know, do you feel the pursuit of your career was more difficult than other fields?
So no, I would say no, realistically, no. So I am in the communications field, right? So it's not as though I was studying to go to school to be a lawyer. I mean, a doctor, and I had to take all these medical exams and do a residency in a hospital, and people's lives are in my hands. So honestly, no, it wasn't as difficult as maybe what you would consider like a traditional field. But with that being said, it was still very essential that I, go in and do the absolutely best job that I could do, and make those connections within my personal and professional life, and just make sure that I'm always continuing to learn so that I'm good at my job.
All right, Tiffany, I've got a question for you from how do you feel your middle or high school prepared you for what you're doing now? And do they start talking about careers with you that early?
Yeah, they certainly did. I had, some great, teachers that I can call out along the line, who noticed, for instance, that I had a love and a passion for writing, and writing is something that we do very heavily in the marketing and communications field. And so from there, I was able to, really kind of carve out what type of career I wanted. And I went into college actually knowing what I wanted to do. And not that you need to know how to do that. College is certainly a time for you to kind of learn what you want to do. But it was interesting that I had people in my corner in order to do that.
All right. And then I've got a set of questions for you so this is from, when did you know that you wanted to go into marketing?
So I knew that I wanted to go into marketing when I was in college, my senior year. I knew that I wanted to go into marketing, but by that time I'd already majored in mass communications, public relations. In my senior year, I said, there's no way I'm going to change my major. So I worked in public relations for a little while and then transitioned to marketing. I actually had a wonderful marketing professor in undergraduate who was originally from Germany, and he taught at my university for about 5 years, and his passion for marketing was just, outstanding. And so he really got me involved in it. And interesting enough, I still keep in touch with him. And I just saw him recently because I had an opportunity to go visit him at the school which he now teaches in, which is in the Middle East in Iraq. He invited me to come out and teach for a week to his MBA cohort graduate students. So that just shows you the power of developing and keeping and maintaining those relationships and networking, that I am still in touch with him even now. And I recently got an opportunity to travel to the Middle East, something that I thought that I would never do, but it was really exciting.